Om Jnanatimrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text number 15 today. So just to recap on last week. So we've just finished the 4 seed verses of Bhagavad Gita, which is chapter 10, text 8, 9, 10, and 11. And after that, after hearing from Krishna the essence of the Bhagavad Gita in these 4 verses, he's given his realization that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's glorified Krishna in those 2 verses, 12 and 13. And he said not only Krishna is saying that he is God, but that all the great sages, and he gives some examples of Narada, Asita, Devada, and Vyasadeva, who compiled all the Vedas. So all the great authorities basically are saying the same thing. It's all in alignment, that Krishna is God, like that. And then in last week's verse, text 14, Arjuna says that he accepts everything that Krishna says in truth. And interestingly, he says, even the great demigods, they can't understand who Krishna is. And even the demons, it might be expected that the demons are not going to understand Krishna's position, but even the great demigods, they don't understand Krishna's position. But Arjuna, he understands Krishna's position because he accepts whatever Krishna says in truth. So this is very important part of Krishna consciousness, to be very humble and submissive to the authority. Of course, to be humble and submissive to the wrong person will lead us into a ditch. So we don't want to blindly follow. So that's an important point to understand. We don't want to be blind followers, and you'll follow the wrong person, you'll end up in ditch. There's one verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that says, Antire yat antire upagyaminat. That modern society...
Blind leads blind.
Yeah, antha. Yeah, you understand the Sanskrit, yeah, because it's like Hindi. Yeah, so if a blind person follows another blind person, he's going to end up in a ditch. So we don't want to just be ignorant.
One time happened there in India. I was there. One blind person, he went to the traffic light and hold another person's hand in order to cross the road. And then he successfully crossed the road. When he got other side of the road, other person was blind too. And he says, oh, I thought, but the guy who's blind, he did not know. And the guy who the hand is, he did not know. He's a blind. So both crossed the road with the mercy of Krishna.
Yeah. So Krishna protected them, obviously, in that case.
Because first guy sees he's blind, and second guy thinks that he's blind. I'm okay.
Yeah, so that's risky though. But
Krishna is there because they both are honest.
Yeah, if they're both sincere souls. But generally, if people are ignorant and you follow another ignorant person, that's not going to be a good outcome, not going to be a good future. If people are, materialistic people, and you follow them, then you're going to end up in not a good place. Their lives are full of, lust, greed, anger, and envy, and pride, and so forth. They're full of ignorance, so following that is not very good. And as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said many times, which Prabhupada quoted, that this society we live in, the human society, is a society of the cheaters, ERS, and cheated, ED. Cheaters and cheated, So someone's on top and someone's on the bottom, like that. So both of them are not good. Both of them are not good. But what the cheaters don't realize is that ultimately they are also going to be cheated. They think they're on top, but at the end of the day, what happens? Old age, disease, and death, And at the time of death, one has to get the reactions for one's sinful activities. So if one has performed many sinful activities like cheating people and so forth, exploiting, then the nature, then like in modern society, terrible how we treat nature, just exploiting all the resources of the nature just to make profit, and beyond what we need. It's not like we need so much, but they go beyond what we need, just accumulating more and more wealth and so forth. And, and sucking out of the earth in the form of the oil and everything like that, and the minerals and precious metals and so forth, and putting toxic chemicals in the water and the air and the earth and the food and so forth like that, just to make money like that. It's very so at the time of death, they'll have to suffer a lot, so ultimately everyone is cheated. Ultimately everyone's cheated. If we don't surrender to Krishna, then it's not good. So how do we escape that cycle of being cheaters and the cheated? That's mentioned in what's that verse 7 chapter of text 14. Now this verse explains how powerful the
The
material.
divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered to me can easily cross beyond it.
So this material energy is compared to like a prison house, and the souls are inside of it, and we're being thrown around. And sometime going up to the heavenly planets, some going down to the hellish planets, or in the middle and the earthly planets, so forth. And then, higher species, lower species, but very hard to get out, very hard to get out. But there is one way to get out, and that is surrendering to Krishna. And you can easily, Krishna says, easily can get out. Otherwise, Dharachaya, the word Dharachaya, that's very formidable, very difficult to overcome.
Is it difficult or impossible?
Well, apart from surrendering to Krishna or his representative, it's impossible. So
Impossible. Then
that,
don't say difficult, say impossible. Difficult means there is a possibility.
Yeah, and the possibility is you surrender
Yeah.
to Krishna.
If you
That's
not
the
surrender,
possibility.
impossible. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's because Krishna's in charge of the prison. So if he's pleased with the soul, then he can release. It's like he's got the key to the prison. He's got the key. So he can let one out. Otherwise, you can't get out like that. And also this human form of life is a benediction, a blessing given by nature, this human form of life. But when the soul gets in the human form of life, we have a more highly developed consciousness. We can understand the finer things in life, like who am I? Why am I suffering? Like that was Sanatana Goswami's question to Lord Chaitanya. We're reading now on Saturdays in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He very intelligently asks, who am I? Why am I suffering the threefold miseries? Like that. So Lord Chaitanya has given the answers. So in the human form of life only, none of the other 8 million species, non-human, can ask these kind of questions. Or we also only humans can ask these questions, and only humans can understand the answer. If the cows and the sheep are in the room and the answer is given, they're not going to understand the birds and fish, and they're not going to understand the answer. And so only the human can have the capacity to ask the question and the capacity to understand the answer and then apply that like that. So
Do they understand Mahamantra, the animals, if we sing Mahamantra around them? Do they?
it's not that they're going to understand it, but they're going to become purified by it.
They're gonna get benefit.
They're definitely going to get benefit. Then Haridas Thakur, I'm just trying to think who asked the question. Haridas Thakur talking with Lord Chaitanya, I can't remember who asked the question. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya, is playing the role of a devotee and he'll ask his devotee a question like that. And sometimes the devotee will ask Lord Chaitanya a question. So in any case, same answer, same question. The question was, how can the non-moving living entities be delivered? Non-moving means the plants. How can they be delivered? And then the answer was by the loud chanting of the holy name. By the loud chanting. So definitely they benefit. What they're understanding when the sound comes, I don't know. I never heard about that. But definitely they benefit. There's a case given in regards to one time the Srimad Bhagavatam was being recited, and one soul had performed really sinful activities in his previous life, and he had taken birth in a bamboo, as a bamboo. So the bamboo was growing close to where the Bhagavatam was being read. And at the end of every day when it was read, and it was interestingly, it was being read by that person in his previous life, his brother. So the Bhagavatam was being read by his brother. So that sinful brother had taken birth in the bamboo. So at the end of every day, the brother's reading Bhagavatam, there would be a loud crack. So there was one knot and the bamboo just cracked. So that happened every day. And the last day when they finished the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was a big crack, and that soul came out of that bamboo and actually got liberated. So just by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, that soul had become freed from all of his sins and got liberated like that. So yeah, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, but even, like if we were loudly reading Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, because there's also mantras, right?
What
There's
happened,
also
Deepa?
mantras. What's that? I didn't hear. Gulshan, did you say something?
Yeah, it's you get frozen. I don't know my internet or your internet, but it's okay. Back on now.
Back on now? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just a bit weak. Okay.
Mm.
But yeah, so like I said, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam are also mantras. So they're non-different from Krishna. They're identical with Krishna. So very powerful. Also prasadam would be included within that. And we feed our dog prasadam, or sometimes you throw prasadam in a pond and fish eat it, whatever like that. And definitely they benefit by having prasadam, 100%. So Prabhupada mentioned they'll definitely, minimum, they'll get a human form of life in the next life. Minimum. That's the minimum. If they have prasadam, they'll get a human form of life in the next life like that. So definitely the devotee is doing a great service by loudly chanting whatever mantras, distributing prasadam, so forth. So many living entities are being uplifted like that. Lord Chaitanya, he is God, so obviously more powerful than us. So when he walked through the Naimisharanya forest, no, not Naimisharanya, Jarikanda forest 500 years ago, whenever he would brush past a deer or some animal, one time with his foot he touched a tiger like that, and they all became Krishna conscious. they would just get up on their back legs and go, "Oh, Hare Krishna," you know, not exactly pronouncing the mantra, but in ecstasy. They became in ecstasy, all the animals like that. So all the plants and the animals, they became liberated, you know, they became liberated, even in their, you know, non-human form, became liberated by contact with Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada mentions that when we are not as powerful as Lord Chaitanya to liberate those souls in the non-human bodies, but he said we can help those other human beings, those souls in human form. You know, but like I said, to have a higher consciousness, you can talk to them, you can preach to them, try to help them to understand Krishna consciousness, teach them the holy name, you know, give them prasadam, so forth, give them a book to read like that. And definitely they can get liberated. Definitely they can get liberated in this one life. And I told you that verse before from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it says that Lord Chaitanya is saying that Eka Krishna Nama Kare Savapapak Shaya Jiva Sparshe Achandala Sabare Udare. That Ek Nam, that just one name, if a one name coming on the Jiva Sparshe means that sound is coming on the tongue of a Achandala. Achandala means a dog eater. The lowest class of person in Vedic culture is called a Chandala. So they eat dogs, you know, and dogs eat, you know, if you like we see what our dog eats and what he does, you know, is very dirty, you know. So someone that eats dogs is like that's really gross, like that. You know, like I think Muslims, isn't it? They don't eat pigs because, you know, pigs eat all kind of gross stuff. So Muslims, they draw the line. We don't want to eat pigs because they're really gross. But a dog is even more gross than that, like that. And but even Chandala, if they're once chanting the name of Krishna, then Sabare Udare, then they're all delivered. They're all become liberated, all become liberated, like that. What to speak of chanting 16 rounds a day, like that. The only thing that can slow us down is offenses to the holy name. Offenses to the holy name. So we should be careful, you know, not to make offenses to the holy name. So there's 10 offenses mentioned to the holy name. But that won't stop us, but it will slow down. It will slow down our liberation. So we don't want to do that. So as much as possible, we should try to get free from the offenses. And that's called namabas. When you're making an effort to not commit offenses to the holy name, that's called namabas. And when you're making offenses and don't really care about making them, that's called nam aparad. Nam aparad. And when you're actually chanting the pure holy name, that's called Shuddhanam. That's called the pure name Shuddhanam. And if you chant one Shuddhanam, you'll know. Do you know how you know? And how will you know if you're actually chanting the pure name? It'll become very obvious because tears will come out of your eyes,
So if the
probably
tears,
sideways.
so if the tear doesn't come out, it means we're not chanting.
We're not chanting the pure name. Yeah, correct. Not chanting the pure name. Yeah. So either we're in Nam Abbas or Nam Aparad.
So
If you chant
put
in Nam Abbas, that means you make
yeah.
an effort to get free from offenses. Definitely you become liberated. Definitely become liberated. But there's something more than liberation, and that's called Krishna praying, love of God. Love of God is above liberation. Liberation means you are free from the material world. But there's something more than being free from the material world, and that's called Krishna praying, love for God, like that. And at that point, all your hairs on your body stand on end, your tears come out of your eyes, your voice chokes up. When you're chanting, even you can't chant because your voice like chokes up, sometimes falling on the ground, sometimes becomes stunned, like your body becomes like a piece of wood, just completely inert. Sometimes even the limbs change. Sometimes the arms become longer or shorter. That's what happened with Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. They've got no arms and legs because the limbs withdrew in their body in that pastime in Dwarka. The limbs withdrew in the body. They were in so much ecstasy like that. So these are different ecstasies. There, Asta, Sattvika, Bhava, like that, 8 different kinds of ecstasies. So one chants even one pure name, then one will immediately be on the platform of love of God and experiencing all kind of ecstasy. We see in the past time Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they delivered the most sinful persons, Jagai and Madai. Once that Jagai and Madai were delivered by Lord Chaitanya, then immediately tears came out of their eyes when he removed all their sinful actions. He said, I'll deliver you on one condition. You have to chant Hare Krishna and not commit any further sinful activities. And if you do that, then I will deliver you. So they agreed. And then immediately he gave them Krishna Prem. And they were crying and falling on the ground and everything like that. So we should lament, that we are not chanting the holy name purely like that. And that lamentation, remorse that we feel will help to purify us like that. It's very easy to not become proud, which is very important. Pride is very destructive to our spiritual progress, but it's very easy to have someone ask, how do I stop being proud? It's very easy. Just remember what a rascal we are, that our heart is so hard that we can't even chant the holy name, purely, that we're chanting with offenses. Immediately one will feel very humble. One will feel in a very humble condition like that.
Let's, if you look at a different angle, just chant. Let the Krishna decide.
Definitely. I mean, it's mentioned if we are chanting with offenses, what's the remedy? How do you remedy that? So the remedy is you just keep chanting.
Keep
Yeah.
chanting.
The one thing you don't do is you never stop chanting. Don't think, oh, I'm
Yes.
not chanting very
No.
well. I should just stop because I'm making
Well,
offenses. You
no,
don't
no,
stop. That's not the recommendation. You
no.
keep chanting. And the power of the holy name will just chip away at our stone-like heart.
Yeah.
Because of material desires for millions of lifetimes, our heart is compared to being steel framed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says in the second canto of Bhagavatam, if we don't cry when we chant, it means our heart is steel framed like that. So, but the holy name is so powerful, it'll just chip away like that at that steel frame like that. But however, it's good that we're conscious of it, what the offenses are, and then we should make an endeavor to get free from it. And that's why in any ISKCON temple around the world in the morning program, just before we start chanting our japa after Mangalarti, they'll recite the 10 offenses. Why bother reciting the 10 offenses? Is so that we become conscious of what they are and that we got to stop doing it. What does aparad mean? It means apa means against, radha, against devotional service, against Krishna. So it's things that we do that Krishna doesn't like, that Radharani doesn't like. Radharani, she's in charge of bhakti. She's Bhakti Devi. You don't want to, excuse the French, piss her off, because, she won't give you entrance into Krishna's service.
You got no
She,
chance.
yeah, she's the boss. She doesn't like your behavior. If you're just being disrespectful to Krishna, she's going to say, sorry, mate, you're going to always stay on the fringe. You're always going to be on the outside.
Like you, if you're disrespectful with the chanty, you won't get any pushadam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You don't want to push the wrong button. So what's the first offense? What's the first offense? To blaspheme devotees
Blasphemy
who've dedicated their
devotees.
lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord. You don't want to do that. Krishna's definitely going to be upset if you bad mouth you know, Krishna's pure devotees.
What
That's like the
about
worst thing.
the one devotee? They are blessed, like fighting with other devotees. I've seen in the temples and everything. And both are devotees, and they're fighting and they're insulting each other. Like, one devotee is insulting others. You should not be insulting devotees.
You don't want to hear that. You don't want to do anything about that. You don't want to hear
Yeah,
that unless you're the manager. If
yeah.
you're the manager,
But I can
then you
see,
have to stop that because that's going to destroy everyone's bhakti.
yeah, because
You know, but you don't want to take sides either. Taking
but
sides, one devotee against another devotee, is not
no,
good.
yeah, definitely. But I've seen
Krishna's
that,
not pleased,
a
you know.
lot of
So obviously
yeah,
those devotees may be neophyte devotees, but
yeah.
like I said, pride is the worst thing. And normally why are we fighting is because someone's proud. Normally
Mm,
both.
mm.
Normally both. You know, and the symptom of a neophyte devotee is every neophyte devotee thinks they're the best devotee.
This is the
And
hard,
then when
wrong
you put
thing.
a whole bunch of neophytes together, they're all thinking they're the best. Then you're going to get, well, it's like dogs. If you put dogs together, there's not going to be peace and love. It's going to be fighting and barking, you know. So you put a whole bunch of, you know, pure devotees together, there's not going to
Whenever,
be any
if you look
quarrel.
at it, wherever the devotees are anywhere, bunch of devotees, they definitely have argument. Even in the Buddhist monastery, even in the pandit, even in the temple, anywhere, if you put it, they just go like that. It's that I don't know why is it. I've seen all the temples, even the Buddhist or even the Gurdwara, the Sikh temple, everywhere when they are devoted together, yes, they just throwing each other or putting each other down. Why is that?
Yeah, it's because, like I said, neophyte means they still have materialistic tendencies. So
Okay.
called kinista in Sanskrit, they're called kinista adhikari. So they don't have much faith. They don't have much faith in God yet. They have some faith, otherwise they wouldn't be chanting and so forth. But they don't have very strong faith, so they have weak faith. It's called Komala Shraddha. Very weak faith. And also the worst thing, and this is what keeps them in that position, is they don't have much knowledge. They don't have
Mm.
much knowledge like that. If you have a lot of knowledge, then you're not going to do that because you know it's not going to be. I'm shooting myself in the foot like that, and you know that Krishna's devotees are very dear to Krishna. You know, if you know that, you won't do it. But if you don't realize that, and you don't realize how upset Krishna is when we hurt another devotee, even a devotee should be respectful. Forget about not just the devotee, not you just treat the non-devotee, I mean treat the devotee well and treat the non-devotee like
But yeah,
crap.
you
But
don't know
even
who's devotee, who's not devotee. You don't know if
then you
somebody.
should just treat everyone good.
Yes, everyone are
Because
good
you don't
because
know.
somebody walking on the street, he's a great devotee. You don't know, and if
Yeah,
you just
because
had
by
an insult,
externals you can't tell.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
mean, like
you
I don't
can't
even
tell.
have tilak or anything
No,
like that.
tail like means
But
nothing.
you don't
Yeah,
know. Sometimes they
yeah,
might not even have a shika or like
yeah,
that. I wear Western clothes or whatever
yeah,
like that. So
yeah.
it's not just only people wearing a dhoti and
Yeah,
tilak or a
no, no,
dhoti and
not
everyone else is
necessarily.
whatever.
No,
You know, so you can't tell by externals. So then you
that's
should
right.
just treat everyone
Yeah,
good.
look,
And if you're a Kanista Adhikari, you think you're the best devotee and everyone else is a Kanista. You know, so you can't tell. Only an advanced devotee can tell another advanced devotee.
yes,
You
the way,
have to become an advanced devotee to
yeah.
understand
Well,
who else,
I
who
can
is an
tell
advanced
that
devotee.
Deepa doesn't look like anybody. She's a great devotee.
Of course,
I don't
of
know about
course,
that.
See,
of
Um,
course.
I was listening to something today where this guru was speaking. He was telling about the basic problem in what we are talking about now. It's like you remove the I from the equation. That it's nothing about me, myself, I. It's yeah.
yeah,
That's the ego, and you take that away, and then everything is very smooth.
yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mm. But in Krishna consciousness, there is always an I, but that But that I is a different I than normal. That's I am, and that's what Lord Chaitanya has explained to Sanatana Goswami. Remember I told you, Sanatana Goswami said, you know, I don't even know who am I. So Lord Chaitanya answered that by saying, Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nichadas. That the Jiva, the soul, that's us, Jivera Swarupaya, our constitutional position, is Krishnera, Nichadas, we're his eternal servant. So I am, if someone asks, who are you? I am Krishna's eternal servant. Actually, Toshan Krishna, who you know there, is one of your neighbors there in Australia, he said to me, because we joined the temple in Auckland together in the early 90s, he told me what to tell if someone's asked me, who am I? He told me in Bengali what you would say. Amay Krishna Das Hoite Chai. That's Bengali. Amay Krishna Das Hoite Chai. Can you say that? Amay Krishna Das
Krishna
Hoite
Das.
Chai. Practice. Amay Krishna Das Hoite Chai.
Krishna Dasina,
Yeah, you're a Dasi, yeah. So that means if someone asks you, then you would say, I am trying to be Krishna's servant. That's the humility coming in. I'm not even qualified to be Krishna's servant, Krishna Das. I'm trying to be Krishna Das. Trying to be, so devotee's very humble. So that's the ego. That's the real ego. I'm trying to be Krishna's servant. I'm not qualified, but I want to become qualified to be the servant of the servant of the servant, not even Krishna's servant, but the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. One time Lord Chaitanya said, he gave his identification, Naham Vipro Na Cha Narapatir Napi Vaisho Na Sudro Naham Varani Na Cha Grihapatir Napi No Vanastir Yativa Kintu Prodyan Nikala Paramananda Purnamridabdir Gopi Bartu Padakamalyor Das Anudas. He said, I'm not a Brahmana. I'm not a Kshatriya. I'm not a Vaishya. I'm not a Sudra. I'm not a Brahmachari. I'm not a Grihasta. I'm not a Vanaprastha. I'm not a sannyasi. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the maintainer of the gopis, who is the source of universal happiness and dazzling with brilliance. What a wonderful statement of who I am. What a wonderful statement of who I am.
But if Lord Chaitanya was a Krishna, why did he say that? If he is a Krishna.
Yeah, because he's not in the mood of Krishna. He is Krishna, but he's in the mood of Krishna's devotee. So this is him expressing the mood of Krishna's devotee. He's Krishna, but teaching us by his example how to be a devotee.
Devotee, yeah.
In Kali Yuga especially, always we're rebellious in the material world, but especially in Kali Yuga, we're very rebellious. We don't want to be told what to do. Isn't it? We don't want to be told what to do. That's a lot of the times why there's fighting going on. Because when someone tells you what to do, you get upset, get angry. Wash the dishes. No, I'm not going to do it. You wash the dishes. Clean your room. No, you clean the room. Like that. So, we're very rebellious. So, but in Kali Yuga, if you see someone acting very perfectly, they're washing the dishes, cleaning the room, sweeping the floor, giving service always, can I serve you? How can I serve you? Like that, very humbly. It's very attractive. If you see someone acting a good example, then you get inspired by that good example and you want to follow that. That's why I said 321. We can look at that. It's all about the importance of acting very perfectly and showing a good example. 321.
Whatever action great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues.
That's why Prabhupada went to America. Because if so you can see the great president of the world is like a US president or US, and then whole world follow US.
Exactly, yeah. His idea was that if Americans became Krishna conscious, the whole world would become Krishna conscious, because they were regarded as the topmost, as the best, the Shrestha.
If he goes to the small country as a Bhutan, then nobody will know his country exists, but there is a country. Or in the Mauritius maybe, or something like that. Whole world
no one's even going to notice. But whatever they do in America, everyone notices. Huh?
That was Prabhupada's guru who told him. Prabhupada's guru told him to go to America, not Prabhupada's own decision.
No. He said
right?
in general, he said the West in general.
Yeah.
But he wasn't specific. He just wanted Krishna consciousness to be spread in the Western world and preached in English, and because English became the global language. English went everywhere. Everyone speaks English. So he wanted the preaching done in English for all the Western world, like that. And actually, some of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciples left India before Prabhupada and went to England, because England was very big and important also previously. Of course, Britain went downhill after they lost India. When they were controlling India, then Britain was number one, because they were plundering all the resources from India. So through that, they become very powerful. And Prabhupada actually mentions the main reason why Britain was conquering everyone when they had the Indian soldiers, because the Sikh and the Gurkhas from Nepal, the Gurkhas from Nepal and the Sikhs from India, very powerful. So when the British had those powerful military from India and the wealth, the resources combined, they conquered the whole world like that. But when they lost India, then they just fell apart. They didn't have the soldiers and they didn't have the wealth, and they just fell apart. But so some of Prabhupada's godbrothers, they went to England, but they weren't successful in preaching. But then, as we know, Prabhupada went to America and he was successful. And all glories to Prabhupada. He did what no one else had done, like that. Incredible service. So unimaginable how dear Prabhupada is to Krishna. For spreading Krishna consciousness like that. Like getting back to offences and that, if anyone offends Prabhupada, their bhakti has gone down the plug hole. They've flushed it down the toilet
100%.
like that. So Krishna's going to be so upset. So we just, the best protection from offending devotees and so forth is humility. Why did Lord Chaitanya said this? He said this, I'll give you a verse that you should wear it around your neck like your neck beads. It means you never keep it away from you. Trinadapi saneshena torori vasushnuna amanidena manidena kirtaniya sadahari. One should be as humble as a blade of grass. One should be as tolerant as a tree. One should give all respect to others and not expect any respect in return. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly, like that. So that's the secret if we want to keep chanting and not stop chanting, because there are a lot of devotees, they chant and then they stop. And why did they stop? It's one or more of those four things, and they stop chanting. Means Maya took them out, like we read that verse, Daivi Yeshagunamai. Maya took them out. But Maya can only take them out when we stop chanting. like that. And we can stop chanting because of those, if we don't follow those things. So that verse is the third verse of 8 verses that Lord Chaitanya left us, and that's called the Shikshastaka. And in many temples around the world, they'll recite that in the morning. It starts off, Chaito Dapana Majanam Bhava Mahadevagninirvapanam. So that's how it starts. And it's in the songbooks. You can look it up. Shikshastakam. Shiksha means instructions, and Astaka means 8. So that's the only writing of Lord Chaitanya, was those 8 verses. And he got his disciples, like the 6 Goswamis, to write tons of books. But Lord Chaitanya didn't leave any books. He just left those 8 verses like that, which is the essence of all philosophy. And it's very important to understand, to know and understand those 8 verses. That's the essence of all the wisdom. And we might not have time to read so many books, but definitely this is the essence there. So take the essence, save time, and that will help us so much. Like, even if we understand that one verse and follow it, I mean, even if we could do that, like chant constantly, I mean, you don't need to do anything else. If you could do that, and if we could be humble like the grass and tolerant like the tree and give all respect, don't expect any respect, then we would be able to chant more like that. We would be able to chant more. So
is the Shikshastaka just Shikshastaka is every day it's recited? Or I noticed
in many temples, not all the
during...
temples do. When I joined, it was recited in Auckland every day. But I don't think at Nugakula it is in the morning program. But yeah, some temples do. I know when I went to Juhu, they were reciting it there in the morning. But you can just read it yourself, you can get it off the internet if you want to get the tune for it like that. Very good to keep reminding ourselves.
I noticed it was when was it? During the October, when I was there.
Okay.
Kartik month.
In Kartik, yeah.
I noticed.
Yeah. But like I said, getting back to example why Lord Chaitanya was doing like that, that's better in Kali Yuga when we're so proud and rebellious, we don't like being told what to do. So he was doing it himself. But like in Kali, even we're so low class in Kali Yuga, but we get inspired if someone does something exemplary, something ideal, if someone does something very ideal, like if someone does some kind act to someone else, help the old lady cross the road or whatever, then wow, that was pretty cool. Oh, that's such a nice person. I'll do like that too. You see something very nice and you get encouraged.
In India there is one old lady, and somebody, just 2 or 3 people just helping to cross the road, and then rather than thank you, and she was angry and she shouted there. He said, man, we did the right thing, and be humble. And then she said, I don't want to cross the road. You cannot be humble like that, And they think they did a good act. Okay, today we just one good act today. We just tell them. She said, but I don't want to cross the road.
They have to take her back, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lord Chaitanya was acting like a devotee, I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the maintainer of the gopis. So by his example, he's teaching. And this is what we call acharya. This is where the word acharya comes from. Acharya, spiritual master. So they're teaching by example, So they're telling, like Prabhupada said, you chant 16 rounds, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. So guess what he's doing? He's chanting 16 rounds himself.
Yeah.
How can he tell us to chant 16 rounds if he's not chanting 16 rounds? So he's chanting 16 rounds. Does Prabhupada need to chant 16 rounds? No, he doesn't need to chant 16 rounds. And the holy name is going on in his heart, 24/7. But he's still chanting those 16 rounds on beats to teach by his own example.
If you don't do anything, and if you tell other people do it, they won't do it.
It's not going to work.
No, it's
It's
not
not
going
going
to
to
work.
100% guarantee.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
drink in a tea and tell other people not to drink tea, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
First,
So this
you
is
stop doing
acharya.
it.
You teach by
Yes,
example.
yes,
First of all, you
yes.
do.
Yeah.
First of all, you do, and then teach. Or even, like I said, even you don't need to teach. They just see you, what you're doing, and they
Yes,
follow that.
yes.
That's very, ideal, like that. Very, very ideal, yeah. Like in the Bhakti tree, we didn't start the soul searching until after a year or more after we started, because I wanted people to see us first, how we behave, and gain some trust in us and like that first. No, you're a complete stranger and you're just telling everyone so many high things. They're going to say, "Who are you, mate? You're an idiot. Just shut up." Like they're not going to have any faith to listen to you. First of all, they need to develop some trust and faith like that. Especially in modern day society, people don't have much trust, isn't it, in other people. We immediately, afraid of other people or don't trust or because why? Because like this cheaters and the cheated. We've been cheated so many times. So many times, so many times. And even religions, you've tried this religion and they cheated me. Tried that, so-called spiritual path and they cheated me like that. So forget about just materialistic people cheating us, but even so-called spiritual people cheating us. So people have many bad, impressions in their hearts. So it's very difficult for them
This
to
is the one
develop
of the
trust.
it is the one of the defects in our human body is that we are cheating.
That's right. Yeah, it's one of the four
Yes,
defects.
four
We have a
defects.
cheating propensity.
Mm.
So only Krishna consciousness can remove that, but otherwise we can expect it's going to be there. And like I said in the beginning, that's why you
But
shouldn't blindly follow. You
where do
shouldn't
I
blindly
get
follow.
the stealing propensity? Because whenever I see there any fruit on the street, on the tree in someone's yard, I love to take it. I don't know where did that come from. Also, if I can see that any guava or anything there, and then I'm like, oh, it is a one
That's
mulberry
when
tree.
you see, Gulshan, I
Yeah.
think that is, when Krishna stole the butter.
But
See, this
Krishna,
it's in
It's
when
inbuilt
he
because,
stole the
yeah,
butter, remember?
Krishna's.
it's one of the guava no, it's like a mulberry tree, and I
Uh-huh.
go to walk there like 10 times a day.
I know.
Usually I don't. You
Do
were
you
with me,
remember,
remember?
Gulshan, when I stayed with you, we
Yes,
would go
yes,
there at
yes,
morning walk and eat
yes,
mulberries.
yes, that's right. Usually I go once a
Yeah.
day. When the season there, I go 10 times a day on that street.
Yes, very good.
And you know
Oh,
what
that's
the
good.
thing is? The owner of that house, they don't even like, it's all on the ground. They got nothing to do with this
I
mulberry.
know, that's very
Oh, so
common. It's tragic. That's
Oh,
tragic.
that's what is in Abhay's food forest is like that. It's all there. You just pick what you want.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
it's okay.
Mm.
But no, Abhay's ones is not very joyful because it's like it's not a stealing. Abhay gives the
Gulshan likes
permission.
the extra excitement that he might be
Yes, that's
caught and
right.
everything like that.
Maybe the
Thrill.
owner come out the bamboo stick or something and get off my tree, and then I'm running in there. Almost when I was little, when it's rain, especially goes there to
Yeah.
their backyard, and then the owner can't come because it's the rain, and they're just yelling inside, and we just just steal some guava and run over there on the push bikes. That's what we do in the rainy days. So they can't come out because they're rainy. And they say, get out my tree. And we just like, it's just like, I could have to buy outside on the main street and eat there, but no, the tasty was there.
Mm.
So
That reminds me that in the early days of
The
ISKCON,
forbidden fruit, is it?
forbidden fruits, yeah.
yeah.
In the early days of ISKCON, the devotees were very poor. The temple didn't have much money. So they're going to have a big festival like Rath Yatra. And, they need many flowers to make garlands. They can't afford to buy so many flowers.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, though early in the morning, they would go to some public place, like, in the middle of the road, they might have some flowers planted, like that. The council plant some flowers, or in a park. They have a nice park with many roses and marigolds and so forth. and the devotees would just go and plunder all the flowers. And the people would wake up in the morning and go to the park or something. There's like no flowers anywhere. And sometimes the devotees would get caught like that. But, so in one sense they're stealing, but, what the devotees are thinking, well,
Stealing from
everything
Krishna.
belongs to Krishna ultimately. And they did it, for Krishna's service. They weren't doing it for themselves like that. In one sense, is that okay to do that? There is a consideration called loka vichar. That means the public's view, how they're going to see that. If the public find out that, you Hare Krishnas are stealing public property or whatever, and that's like a bad impression that they have about Hare Krishnas and puts them off, then that's not very good for preaching, is it? If
It's
people are thinking you're all thieves
somewhere stated, yeah. Oh, somewhere stated that they are supposed to follow the rules of the land or the area or something like
so
that.
Generally, yes. So in the ultimate sense, what they did is not wrong because it's all Krishna's property. But from the point of view of the public's understanding, they don't understand that, obviously. The public don't understand that everything belongs to Krishna, nothing belongs to us. They think this is mine and this is yours and this is the public's and blah blah blah. And we're living in that society. So like Prabhupada said, when in Rome, do like the Romans do. So, you have to follow the laws of that particular place. So generally like that.
I think you know that, Prabhuji. Deepa doesn't know that. Deepa, you know that when we come out of the temple, there is the grapes tree on the side of the road. When you come out of the temple, before you go to the main road, there's some grape orchard. Have you seen them? Grape trees, something? Have you seen them? Okay. So what do? The Indian people, when the grape season, and they just pull the grapes. And then the guy is complaining to Kali Prabhu, you know what? I've seen a lot of Indians, they all come to your temple and they steal the grapes. And then Kali Prabhu announced that, please don't do that. Let's respect that. And then Indians are Indian. So what happened next time? They knocked the door to the guy who owned the orchard. He said, have you got a plastic bag? So
that was happening when I was there.
You were there. Yeah, that's why I said Deepa doesn't know.
6 years ago. That was crazy.
Can you believe that? So Indians are made oh my God, I cannot believe that. They ask plastic bag to steal in the grapes. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
that's the thing. That's definitely wrong. That's definitely sinful because one's doing it for one's own self. If one was taking the grapes and giving it to Krishna,
should just invite the that owner of that orchard to the temple and tell him to bring an offering of grapes.
But depends. Like he probably
he's already sacrificed so many. He's not going to be ready to give more like that.
He wants to make it.
But what I would do, like there was a festival coming up at New Gokula, and some nice gardens in Cessnock or whatever, I would go up to the owner of the house, knock on the door and say, look, I'm from the Hare Krishna temple. We're having a festival coming up. I see you've got some beautiful flowers. Could I have some for our festival? And 99% of the time they say, yeah, sure. Sometimes they're very attached to their plants. So they'll say, I'll cut them for you. Because what they don't want is just ripped off the plant and break the plant. And I do that too. I wouldn't want anyone coming into our garden here and just ripping things up.
You're from the West. We're from the East. East people, we believe everything belongs to Krishna. We don't need the permission. We just take it.
No, but you see those Indians, those Indians, they never gave those grapes to the temple. They're just stuffing them in their face and their kids' face. That's just not wrong. That's not culture. That's not culture. That's just greedy tongue.
Tarnish.
It's a greedy tongue.
They make their temple name bad.
Yeah, and putting a bad thing on like that. So yeah. It's good and important to teach by example, definitely. Okay, so let's look at the verse for today. So like I said in the beginning, you know, that, so we're on 10th chapter, text 15. Like I said in the beginning, this is what differentiates Krishna, I mean Arjuna, from the demons, obviously, and the demigods even, is that he just completely accepting whatever Krishna says, you know, has so much faith in Krishna like that. And even we can see that same quality in Prabhupada. People would glorify Prabhupada, you know, you spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. You printed so many books, wrote so many books. You made so many disciples. You made so many temples. Prabhupada said, I don't take credit for any of that. He said, if you want to give me credit, I'll take one credit. He said, I didn't disobey the order of my Guru Maharaj by 1 inch, not by 1 inch. I strictly followed my Guru Maharaj's instructions. You know, so that's that same quality that's in Arjuna, that same quality in Prabhupada. And it's rare because it's very rare to find someone that's just strictly following their leader. That's just strictly following their leader. And not, what we tend to do is we tend to speculate. We tend to change things. And we tend to have our own separate desires. We have our own separate desires, separate from our leader, like that. And then we also, whatever the leader says, then we speculate on that. With our fertile brain, we change things. But what's rare is to just not have any separate desires. I just want what my leader wants, what my guru wants, what the Lord wants. I just want the same thing. And you're not going to change that in any way. And immediately you have that quality, then you're going to become fully Krishna conscious. Krishna is going to empower you. Krishna Shakti is going to work through you, and you're going to get complete, you know, realization like that. And so we have, you know, complete trust and faith in our leader, and then accept whatever they say is the truth, and then you just follow that. And just follow that. So that's the formula for success. And Prabhupada actually mentions this as the secret of success in spiritual life. And it's the famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, text 34, which is the verse all about the Guru. This is the Guru verse of Bhagavad Gita, 4:34.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from his submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
So if we go into the purport, about halfway down, more than halfway down, it says,
nor by independent study of the book
hang on,
knowledge.
Yeah, just past there. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige, which means pride. This is the point. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. So there you go. That's the secret of how you become advanced in spiritual life, is to satisfy the spiritual master. And then in other places it says about how to satisfy the spiritual master. It's very simple. Just follow their instructions. They become satisfied when you follow their instructions. Follow the instructions. And like, for example, we've all been instructed, chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. Follow the 4 regulated principles like that. Try your best to spread Krishna consciousness. So these are the instructions of the spiritual master, and then they become satisfied when you follow those instructions like that. Okay, so let's read our text 15. Swayam evatmanatmanam
Swayam eva manatmanam
Veta tvam purushottama
Vaithatvam Purushottama
Bhuta bhavana bhutesha
Bhuta Bhavan Bhutesha
Deva Deva Jagatpate
Deva Deva Jagatpate.
Deva Jagatpate.
Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, Origin of all, Lord of all being, God of gods, Lord of the universe. Who's saying this? Krishna, the Arjuna?
No, Arjuna.
Arjuna
So
saying,
yeah.
Arjuna.
Yeah.
Arjuna, watch.
So this is a fact that, no one's going to understand God completely. So in the previous verse said, not the demigods can understand God, Krishna, and the demons can't understand him. And now he's saying only he can understand himself. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, the person knows themselves better than anyone else, right?
Yes.
Like, Gulshan knows Gulshan better than anyone else. Deepa knows Deepa better than
100%.
anyone else, and so forth.
Yeah.
So this is completely makes sense. It's logical. However, other people can know about a person if you're in their inner circle. Like, obviously, family members know you pretty well, and your friends also know you pretty well. Strangers, no, they don't know. The strangers, if they're not a friend or like family or friend, they're not going to know you. I mean, they're going to see you, but they're not going to understand what you're like or whatever like that. But you'll reveal your feelings and your thoughts and your secrets to people that you trust. Are you going to tell your bank balance, how much is in your bank account, to a stranger? You're not going to tell. But your family members know. Your friend may know like that. So those people that, you trust and like that, and you have a relationship with, then you'll reveal more. But only the person themselves knows themselves completely. And others may know partially, more or less, like that, depending on where you're in the inner circle or the outer circle, like that. So the devotee is like in the inner circle, and they understand Krishna to a great degree. Not 100%, and Arjuna is saying that there. Only you know yourself by your internal potency, like that. And this verse is also giving more understanding of Krishna's position. It's more glorification. This is the life of a devotee, is to glorify God, And every religion they do that, right? Whether you're Christian, Hindu, Muslim, then your function is to always glorify God, like that, right? So what is Arjuna is glorifying him here? Bhuta Bhavana. That you are the origin of everything, right? And Krishna himself said that in 10.8, remember? Aham savasya prabhavo matasavam bhavadite. Krishna says in 10.8, I am the source of the spiritual material worlds. Everything emanates from me. So what is Arjuna saying here? Bhuta Bhavana. You are the origin of everything. So that's basically, he's repeating what Krishna said in 10.8. So that whatever the authority is saying, you repeat that. And that's the truth, you know. So this is a devotee, you know, he's just repeating what he's heard from Krishna. So this is the disciplic succession, you know. So Arjuna has heard from Krishna, and he's repeating what he's heard from Krishna. And that makes him a perfect disciple. And that also makes him, once you're a perfect disciple, then what do you also become?
Perfect disciple.
Perfect disciple then automatically becomes perfect, what else?
Devotee.
Perfect devotee, and what else? Does the whole process stop there? The knowledge is given to me, and then that's it. I know all the knowledge, and then
pass it on.
Then pass it on. That means then you become the next teacher, the acharya, the spiritual master. So the perfect disciple becomes the perfect spiritual master. If someone says, I'm a spiritual master, and you ask them, who's your spiritual master? And they say, I don't have a spiritual master. They're a rascal. They're one of those cheaters like that. You can only become a perfect spiritual master once you've been a perfect disciple. And not only being a perfect disciple, it's not like I used to be a perfect disciple, now I'm a perfect spiritual master. The spiritual master is always a disciple of his guru. Not that I'm a guru now and I'm not his disciple anymore. You're always a disciple. You're always a servant, a menial, like I mentioned, we read in that purport, a menial servant of your spiritual master. So at the same time, you're a menial servant of your spiritual master, and you can be a spiritual master at the same time. So you're a spiritual master to your disciples, but you're always a menial servant of your spiritual master. And that's simultaneously happening at the same time. Does that make sense? Like the first person mentioned in our disciplic session, we can look at the end of the introduction. We looked at that the other day. The end of the introduction, it talks about the parampara, it shows you the parampara, disciplic session. So the first person, this is the first teacher, like it's saying here, the Bhuta Bhavana, the origin of all beings. So this is Krishna the first. So he's the original guru. This is the Adi Guru. And he is speaking to the first disciple as Brahma, the first created being, right? So Krishna is always Brahma's spiritual master, always. Even when he became the spiritual master of Narada Muni, which is mentioned here as Narada Muni's the disciple of Brahma, right? One of the disciples of Brahma, right? So Brahma can be the spiritual master of Narada Muni at the same time he's the disciple of Krishna.
So if you look at it, in 5,000 years from number one Krishna to 32 Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada, only 32 people in 5,000 years.
Yeah.
If life expectancy for 100, then it's be only 3,000. 100
no,
is like
because no.
Yeah.
Because some of these beings are not earthly beings with 100 years life expectancies. And also, if you go further back in the Kali Yuga, people lived longer. Even it's mentioned in the Bible, which is 2,000 years ago, that there was one guy, he lived for 900 years. See, 5,000 years ago, they lived for 1,000 years. And it's not going to go from 1,000 year expectancy to 100 overnight. It's slowly going to drop down from 1,000 to 900, 800, 700, 600, 500, 400, 200, like that. So that's also there. But a lot of these beings, like Vyasadeva is number 4, right? He's still living. He's still living in the Himalayas, Vyasadeva.
Really?
Yep, Vyasadeva is still there, but
How's that? Really?
he's not going anywhere. He's an incarnation of God. He doesn't like die like us, you know. So
Wow.
he's still there in the Himalayas in Badarik Ashram. But you're not going to have, even if you went there, you're not going to have the eyes to see him. He's hiding. It's called uppercut, you know, not visible to your eyes. There's many
So
personalities that
fascinating.
were there 5,000 years ago, like when the Pandavas and that were there. They're still living like in the Himalayas. Like one of
But,
them, you would have heard Ashvatthama.
mm,
Ashvatthama, he was cursed, right? Because he was cursed. And he tried to kill Parikshit Maharaj. He threw a Brahmastra. And when Parikshit was in the womb of his mother Uttara, he's the grandson of Arjuna. Abhimanyu was his father. Abhimanyu was killed in the Battle of Kurukshetra. And then he failed with that because Krishna protected Parikshit, protected the womb from the Brahmastra. And then Arjuna was chasing after him, and he realized Arjuna is going to catch me, so he threw another Brahmastra. He threw another Brahmastra at Arjuna, and Arjuna counteracted that with a Brahmastra, and then eventually he was caught, and then he was really disgraced, and because before that he had oh, here we are. She's coming back in. Ashvatthama had very sinfully killed the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas at the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra. While they were sleeping, he killed them in their beds like that. He wanted to wipe out the Pandu dynasty, the Kuru dynasty. So even Duryodhana, before he died, even Duryodhana was upset with Ashvatthama. Ashvatthama thought Duryodhana would be very happy that he killed the Pandavas' sons, but actually he was very upset. He said, "You've just destroyed our family line. There's no one left, you know, like that." So there was only one person left in the family line, and that was Parikshit. So then he wanted to kill him also. He's such a rascal. But so he was, then when he was caught, Arjuna was going to kill him, but Draupadi was a very soft-hearted woman, said, "No, don't kill him." And but Krishna said, "No, kill him." And then Krishna gave him the idea how you can kill him without killing him. And that means like a Kshatriya is very proud. Very proud. So if you cut down his pride, it's like death. So what he did is he had a top knot in his hair. He had a top knot when he had a jewel. He had a jewel in his hair. He had a bundle of hair with a jewel in it. And Arjuna chopped that off, and he lost a lot of his power and everything like that. And he was really disgraced. And then he was like exiled, sort of thing. He had nothing, no kingdom, nothing, no position like that. And his father was Dronacharya. He was killed already like that, so he didn't have anything. But he was also cursed. Part of the curse was that he wouldn't die. And that and through all that suffering he went through, and we've discussed this before, the benefit of suffering, is that suffering made him very humble and cut down all that false prestige and everything like that. And he became very purified. And he actually, why he didn't die, he's got a service to do at the end of Kali Yuga. That means end of Kali Yuga means another 427,000 years. He's already lived 5,000 years. He's got another 427,000 years, the end of Kali Yuga. Kalki's going to come, kill all the demons, and then there's going to be a few people left. He's going to be one of them. He's going to repopulate he's going to repopulate the earth along with other sages at the end of Kali Yuga and bring in the next Satya Yuga. So, I mean, he's going to live for way over 432,000 years. So, yeah, not everyone is Gulshan is living for 100 years like that. So, just pointing that out. But yeah, a lot of these beings, live
the
from.
thing is like when they they find that a 65,000-year-old dinosaur's bones,
Yeah.
but they couldn't find any Pandava's bones or anything.
Yeah, okay, that's very easy. That's very easy to answer that one.
How?
Because they don't bury them; they burn the bodies.
They burn
They
them,
burn
but
the
then
bodies.
but
They burn.
the
Then it's just
the
turned to ashes. What bones are you going to find if
no,
if
there's the
all the
bones
bodies
there.
turn to ashes?
Yeah, it's just some
No.
bones maybe left in there, nothing.
But they
Bones
have
are
actually
there.
found. I mean, there's a book written by two ISKCON disciples. They were scientists before, Drew Takama and another one, and it's called Forbidden Archaeology. You can look it up, Forbidden Archaeology. When an archaeologist finds something that is not in agreement with what society they want the knowledge to go into society. I didn't really explain that very well, but see, the global elite, the few people that think they rule the world, which they don't really, but they think they do. They have a particular, knowledge they want all us stupid people underneath them to think. So anything that doesn't agree with that, they just bury that knowledge. So that's called forbidden archaeology. Like they find things that, they find some human skull that was, in some bit of rock, 5 million years old. But that doesn't agree with that humans, turned out from apes, 50,000 years ago or whatever. So, so they'll get rid of that, finding like that. So there's heaps of things like that. Or they find like a perfectly made spear or a sword or something, in a rock that was, 10 million years old or something, so, and it's way different than their theory or whatever. So they'll just get rid of that. And this book is full of those findings of things that were like hidden from society like that. And
What book is that?
one of the persons that the main person that wrote that book is named Sadaputa. He mysteriously died, by the way, which most of them do. If you try to present some information that they don't want to be presented to society, you know what often happens to that person?
You disappear from the planet.
They just, oh, what a shame they had a car accident. Oh, even though it was on a straight road, well, this like Sadaputa, he was found dead in his swimming pool. What's that? How many people die, in the swimming pool? I mean, it's just crazy things, all the such and such scientists, he like just
Indians
disappeared.
Who can't swim.
Now, even
It's real.
Diana's death was a controversy as well.
Indians who can't swim.
Princess Diana died there.
This is a Westerner. He's an American. He's got a swimming pool. He's swum in it every day for decades, and suddenly he's found dead in a swimming pool. It's like, it's crazy like that. It's crazy like that. If you go against what the society, wants, they'll just get rid of you. Like that.
That's why.
But that's exactly what Gulshan was just saying. That's what happened with, Princess Diana.
Yeah, ambulance took 90 minutes.
Royal did not
it took 90 minutes to get the ambulance for Princess Diana. Can you believe that? 90 minutes. But,
there's whole books about that.
Oh yeah,
she was bumped off. Yeah, 100%.
Jeffrey Epstein, he died in jail.
And some people say he's not even dead. So there's so many things, different controversies and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't want to go into all that, but
anyway,
you were talking about why I don't find any bones in that. So that's why, they burn the bodies, and then they hide a lot of stuff like that. And then even like dinosaurs, complete load of rubbish. So what it really is that You know, they find these big bones in the ground or whatever, and they say they were dinosaurs. There's no dinosaurs. What it is in previous ages, as well as the
Took over
lifespan
much
reduces
later.
with each age, the size reduces. So your Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever is just like a Satyuga lizard. It's just a Satyuga lizard, you know, and you're a saber-toothed tiger. It's just a bloody tiger. In Satyuga or Treta Yuga, which is like 10 times bigger, 20 times bigger, like that. You know, you know, those big fish ones, you know, whatever what they call those. It's just a big fish. You know, it's not a dinosaur, a different species. It's the same species, but just 10 times, 20 times, 50 times bigger in the previous age. So they say, you know, they have these speculations how the dinosaurs died out when an asteroid hit the Earth or whatever. This is called mental speculation. They're just complete mental speculators. The real way to understand the truth is by hearing from an authority, not by speculating with your teeny brain. You know, I've told you before, there's two paths of knowledge. One's called Avaroha Panta, that means descending knowledge, like in the disciplic session, knowledge coming down from the perfect person, like from Krishna. And there's Aroha Panta, that means ascending, going up. From my teeny brain, maybe it's like this, it could be, I think, maybe, I believe, you know, could be, you know, Prabhupada said anyone that starts a sentence I think or I believe is just an idiot. You know, you shouldn't even listen to someone that starts off saying maybe, could be, I think, I believe, like that. You know, it's just from their teeny brain, you know, what do we know? What do we know? What do we know? So best is just to hear from coming down from the authority, and then we can actually know something. But like I said, you know, so two things are going on, you know. First of all, first thing is you've got to become a perfect disciple, and that's why, like Arjuna is setting that example. He's the he's the example for us of how to be a disciple. He just completely, I accept Krishna, whatever you say, I accept it. You know, so we accept. But like I said, don't blindly follow. You got to make sure the person you're following is qualified to be a leader, right? So you've got there's criteria. There's criteria for who is a qualified spiritual master, who is a pure devotee. So you got to know what the criteria of a pure devotee, a qualified spiritual master are. And then once you've selected, you're confident this person is a pure devotee. This person is a spiritual master, qualified spiritual master. Then you should just completely, totally accept whatever they say is true and follow that down the line, not 1 inch like Prabhupada's separate. And then when you've done that, then you're qualified to become a spiritual teacher for your own disciples. But even though you might have 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 disciples yourself, you're always the menial servant of your spiritual master. And that's the system. That's the way it works. And if you think I'm a spiritual master with 10,000 disciples and I don't follow anyone anymore, then you might as well shoot yourself in the head and you're completely useless. Like that. So then you're broken off from the disciplic session again, you know. So there's never a time when you're not a servant anymore. And as soon as you think you're a master and you're not a servant, then you're once again you're disconnected. You're unplugged. You know, there's your yoga has become V-yoga. You're your plug is out of the socket. You know, so you always got to be plugged in. You know, you're always the servant. The one that realizes he's a servant, they automatically become a master like that. And sometimes even that term is used, servant master. Both. Both. You might think it's contradictory. It's not contradictory. The real master is a servant.
we are the student and the teacher. When you teach someone, we are teacher. When we learn, we are student.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
I mean,
student
yeah,
and a
how can you
teacher.
teach something if you haven't learned it from someone, like that? So
Yeah.
you can't be a teacher unless you're a student. So both go together side by side. Go together side by side. Hmm. How big is this purport? Oh yeah, it's quite big. Time's nearly run out. Anyway, we'll just talk a little bit about the translation, read the purport next time. So that's Bhutavavana, the origin of everything. So he's heard from Krishna. Krishna said, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I am the origin of everything. So he's repeating that, Bhutavava. Bhuta Isha. So he's the Lord of everything. So he's the original person, like Lord Brahma said, right? Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So there's the word Adi again. So the original person, Purusha means person. So he's the original person. So not only he's the origin of everything, but he's also the Lord of everything. Bhuta, Isha. Isha means Lord or Master. Bhuta means living entities. Bhuta means living entities. So he's the Lord of all living entities. Like that. So he's the origin of all living entities. That's Bhuta Bhavana. So he's the origin of all living entities, of everything. And then he's also the Lord of all the living entities. And then Deva Deva, Lord of all the demigods. So there's many gods, many devas. But Krishna is the supreme God. Like that. He's the God of all the gods. Like that. Demi, what's this demi? Demi means like half God. They're not fully God, but God in the sense that they have some controlling power. Because in one sense, if you say what does God mean? God means the controller, right? So there are many controllers. Like there's a control of the sun, control of the moon, control of the forest, control of the air, control of the wind. There's millions of demigods, millions of demigods. I've heard some contradictory things, so it's even hard to say how many. At one place it says 33 million, another one says 330 million demigods. So anyway, there's a lot of demigods, and they all have a controlling power in some part of the universal administration. Just like the government, Newcastle Council, they'll have many people in their management there. Someone looks after the water department, the fire department, the social welfare department, finance department. So,
One of my
expand that
friend,
up.
he's a parking officer in Newcastle Council. He's a very good friend of mine. He used to come to
Yeah,
my cafe for coffee, and
yeah,
in December he joined that council as a parking officer.
yeah.
And he was just like as a writing a tickets. So he was telling me that tickets we are giving that each parking holds a lot of tickets, and then some of the parking start at 5 in the morning, like 11 till night 11 till 5. There's no parking. After 5, there is a 1 hour parking starts, but
Mm.
his shift start at 4 o'clock. They deliberately start his shift at 4, so he goes to the same place and just write a ticket. And because his parking start at 5, I said that's unethical. Say, yeah,
Yeah,
but what can I do? It's my job.
yeah.
And Saturday, him and his friend and the three guys. And then I seen him on Sunday morning in the swimming. I said, "How was your day yesterday?" He said, "Great." I said, "How many tickets you brought?" That he said, "Me, my friend, and another guy, three guys. We write down 113 tickets, which is worth $50,000 in one day.
Wow. Oh my God.
$50,000." So
It's
I
all
said, yeah, that's
business. Yeah, money
yeah.
making.
I
Yeah.
said that's unethical. Like wherever there is they increasing more. And he asked me, do you want to join that? I can put you in. I said no. He said no. We require more. Even if you join temporary, it's revenue, revenue, revenue. There's a one council
Oh
in
my
the
God.
Sydney. There was a 5 parking officer. Now there is a 25 parking officer in that council.
Gosh.
So Yeah, where is the ethics?
Yeah.
I got 4 tickets last year, and I said, well, this year no tickets, but I got 1 ticket so far. So I'm trying to get maybe 2, so I get a 50% success. Last year I had a 4, so this year maybe 2,
Yeah.
not more than 2. So I got 1. Like the Uber driver can't stop in the taxi zone, can't stop at the bus stand,
Aim
no
for none.
stopping. Yeah, so I go to the city every day, and like but there's no stopping place. A lot of places in Charlestown and Westfield. So I'm struggling with that. I said, is there any way? I seen him tomorrow. I seen him on the swimming again. Tomorrow I think he's got a day off. It's a Friday morning. I'll meet you at the swimming at the beach. I said, okay. But is there any way? He says, no. It's like, all I can say, if I can see your car, I'll be, let you go. But others are not. So only I can say careful. So he said each parking officer brings that close to $1 million to the council a year.
Wow.
And then in return, how much the salary? 75,000 a year salary.
It's a good earning
Wow,
for the
wow,
council.
wow.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I mean, how
Money.
They got a $500 million budget for next year or so. That's the thing. But
So like that, expand the council up to the universal size. It's a big management required. So many demigods.
Yeah.
But none of them are the supreme except for Krishna. Krishna's the supreme, and everyone else is just
Deepa,
small
don't
fry.
park at the disabled spot. Disabled spot is a $704 ticket. Don't park
Really?
at the disabled. 704. And tomorrow morning I go to the swimming because I go and shower there, and there's some disability spots there. That's what they say. The good guys are like a parking spot. All the spots are taken. Only the spot left are disabled. So, and then one guy parking cop like 4:30 in the morning. I go 5:30. He just go to that. It's a bit still dark. Writing a tickets.
Wow.
That's what people think, that who's gonna come 5 in the morning. But he said, that's my job. Disabled means 24-hour disabled. I said, oh my God. My friend, he said, yeah, $706. I said, sometimes I do write that disabled. I'll just keep looking that disabled spot. 5 in the morning. He said, I love to be sleeping, but hey, that's a job. That's unethical. I know it's something is that you want to be and do the right thing, but
the leaders of society are corrupt. Definitely corrupt. So Krishna is Deva. I just heard Prabhupada say recently, God has no name. In some religions, they say that God has no name. But then Prabhupada said, but Krishna has many names according to his activities. According to his activities. So here we have quite a few names, right? Bhuta Bhavana. So that's one of his names. That, according to that he's the origin of all living entities. And then Bhuta Isha, because he's the master of all living entities. And then Deva, because he's the god of all the gods, the Deva of the Devas.
Is that the disciple giving all these names? Like who gave these names?
Like here's a devotee giving him names, right?
So devotee,
the devotee, the devotee understands the qualities and activities of Krishna. No one else understands you ask most religious people, what does God do? They wouldn't have a clue. They don't know what does God do. What are some qualities of God? They don't know so much. But here, like this, he's a pure devotee, direct friend of God. Arjuna is a direct friend of God. They sleep together. They eat together. They talk together. So he knows Krishna very well. So he knows Krishna's activities and his qualities. So he can make up many names of God, and they're correct. None of them are like, what a stupid name. No, they're all correct. They're all correct. These are God's, activities. And they're controlling all the Lord of all the living entities. And Jagat Pate. Jagat means the universe, and Pate means the Lord or the master, like that, of the entire universe, like that. And even this other one, he said, Purusha Uttama, Purushottama. that you are the greatest of all persons. Purusha means person, Uta means the topmost. You're the topmost of all persons, like that. And not necessarily also that Arjuna is just coming up with a name right here and it was never used before. These names could well have been used many, many times by many, many devotees, and Arjuna is just repeating that. Like many devotees address Krishna by the name Purushottama. So it's not only Arjuna is saying Purushottama. There's in the Bhagavatam, you see there's many devotees addressing Krishna Purushottama. You are the topmost person. You are the topmost person, like that. So, because actually all these names are eternal. These names are eternal. It's not like, oh, this name of Krishna started 5,000 years ago, and there was not a name of Krishna before that. Now, these names are eternal, and they just keep being used by different devotees to glorify him like that. It's like, when did the name Krishna start to get used? It didn't start to get used. It's Krishna. Krishna's always been there. His name has always been there. The person has always been there. So the person and the names are identical. There's no difference between the name of God and the person God. But he has these different names according to his activities and qualities, which are eternal. They're eternal. None of these things have a beginning or an end. They're eternal. So these are beautiful names. So this is the function of a devotee, to always be glorifying God. That's why we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But also we can say these other names also very nice. But the Maha Mantra, that includes all other mantras. So all these mantras is all included within the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So there's no need to say anything else other than Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But yeah, these are all nice also. These are very nice. But everything's included if you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But these are very nice. So yeah, Arjuna has a very good understanding of who God is. So if we want to have an understanding of who God is, where should we go? Who should we go to? We should go to Arjuna, like that. So we want to follow in Arjuna's footsteps. And Prabhupada said many times, if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, you have to understand Bhagavad Gita in the same way that Arjuna understood the Bhagavad Gita. And what is the way that Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita? In complete submission, humbleness to whatever Krishna said. I accept that, like it's said in 10:14. Whatever you say, I accept it in truth, in toto. I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. This is what it means to understand the Bhagavad Gita in the same way that Arjuna understood. Let's all repeat that. Let's all repeat that. Repeat after me. I totally accept.
I totally accept.
As truth.
Totally accept.
As truth.
As truth.
All that you have told me.
All you have told me.
All that you have told me.
I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. So we should reinforce that in our silly heads.
I totally accept as truth.
Yep. Yeah. I totally accept as truth all that you have told me.
Totally accept as truth all that you have told me.
Jai, Deepa, perfect. You're a perfect disciple. Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, so that's what it means to follow in Arjuna's footsteps. That's what it means to follow in Arjuna's footsteps. And it's mentioned also earlier that Krishna said to Arjuna, I'm teaching this knowledge to you because you are my friend and you are my devotee. So this is what it means if we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we have to also become Krishna's friend, and we have to become a devotee of Krishna. And then automatically we'll understand. Because what did we read? Gulshan's favorite verse, 10:10. To those that dedicate their life to serve me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So Krishna's only going to enlighten us in our heart if we're his devotee, if we're his friend. If you remain an outsider, a stranger to Krishna, he's not going to help you understand. You're never going to understand Bhagavad Gita. You could have all the PhDs, BSc, SCs, everything after your name, and philosopher and academic, everything. But if you're not Krishna's friend and not Krishna's devotee, you will never, ever, ever, ever understand Krishna like that. One Prime Minister of India wrote a Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said he doesn't know anything about Krishna. Gandhi wrote on Bhagavad Gita because he doesn't know anything about Krishna like that. Gandhi said Krishna did not exist, just like a mythology like that. This other Prime Minister, he said that you don't surrender to the person Krishna, but you surrender to the impersonal oneness that's within Krishna. Like that. So they don't understand. No one understands Krishna except for Krishna's devotee, who is a friend of Krishna, like that. So this is the way to really enter into the secrets of the Bhagavad Gita. So sadly, our time's up. Does anyone want to say anything?
Not at this stage, no.